Welcome to the channel The Numis Hunter. And before we dive into today's video, I need you to pause whatever you're doing right now, because what I'm about to share with you could literally change your financial life forever. Imagine reaching into your pocket, checking that old coin jar sitting in your garage, or sorting through your grandparents' collection, only to discover that a simple quarter, a coin you might have spent on a vending machine without a second thought, is actually worth $75 million. Now I know what you're thinking. That sounds absolutely impossible, right? How could a quarter, something we use every single day, something that buys us barely anything anymore, be worth more than most lottery jackpots, more than luxury mansions, more than what most people will earn in multiple lifetimes? But here's the truth, and you need to hear this. The 1986 D. Washington quarter we're talking about today isn't just any ordinary quarter. It's one of the most spectacular numismatic treasures ever discovered in modern American coinage. And by the end of this video, you're going to know exactly what to look for, how to identify it, and why collectors are willing to pay absolutely staggering amounts of money for this particular coin. The 1986 D. Washington quarter that reached a record-breaking auction value of $75 million represents something so rare, so incredibly sought after, that when it surfaced at auction, it literally sent shockwaves through the entire numismatic community, with collectors, investors, and coin enthusiasts from around the globe desperately trying to outbid each other for the chance to own this phenomenal piece of American history. But before we go deeper into this specific coin, I need you to do me one favor. Stick with me until the very end of this video, because after we explore every fascinating detail about this 1986 D quarter, I'm going to reveal 3 more Washington quarters that are worth absolutely mind-blowing amounts of money. And trust me when I say this, the values we're talking about will leave you speechless. And one of these coins might actually be hiding in your collection right now without you even knowing it. Now, let's talk about what makes the 1986 D. Washington quarter so extraordinarily special. And to understand that, we need to go back to 1986, a year that was seemingly ordinary in American coinage history, or so everyone thought. The Denver Mint, marked by that distinctive D mint mark, was producing millions upon millions of Washington quarters that year, standard quarters that were entering circulation every single day, being used in transactions across the country, most of them eventually wearing down, getting scratched, damaged, or lost forever. But among those millions of quarters, something absolutely remarkable happened during the minting process that created what numismatists now call one of the most significant error coins in modern American history. The error we're talking about is so rare, so visually striking, and so incredibly valuable that only a handful of examples are confirmed to exist. And here's what happened. During the striking process at the Denver Mint, a combination of factors including a misaligned die, a double strike with rotation, and what appears to be a partial collar error created a quarter that looks absolutely nothing like a normal coin. Imagine looking at a quarter where George Washington's profile is struck twice, slightly offset, creating this ghostly, almost three-dimensional effect that makes the coin look like it's vibrating or moving when you tilt it under light. The doubling is so dramatic that you can see 2 complete noses, 2 sets of eyes, 2 mouths, and the inscription Liberty appears to have a shadow effect that's absolutely mesmerizing. But that's not all, because this particular error also features what's called a broad strike error, meaning the collar that normally contains the metal during striking was either missing or misaligned, causing the coin to spread out beyond its normal diameter, making it larger than a regular quarter and giving it this incredibly distinctive appearance that's impossible to fake or replicate. The combination of these multiple errors occurring simultaneously on a single coin is astronomically rare. We're talking about odds that are literally 1 in hundreds of millions. And when you add in the fact that this coin somehow survived in near-perfect condition, with minimal wear, no scratches, and the kind of eye appeal that makes collectors' hearts skip a beat, you begin to understand why someone would pay $75 million for it. Now, here's where the story gets even more incredible. And this is something you absolutely need to know if you're searching for valuable coins. This particular 1986 D. Washington quarter was discovered by a completely ordinary person who had no idea what they had. According to the auction house records, the coin was found in an estate sale collection, mixed in with thousands of other coins that had been accumulated over decades. And the person who inherited the collection almost sold the entire lot to a dealer for just a few $100s. Can you imagine? $75 million almost sold for pocket change because nobody recognized what they were looking at. Fortunately, one keen-eyed individual decided to have the collection professionally examined. And when the numismatists saw this 1986 D quarter, they literally dropped everything they were doing because they knew immediately that they were looking at something that could rewrite the record books. And that's exactly what happened. The coin was submitted to PCGS, the Professional Coin Grading Service, which is one of the most respected third-party grading companies in the world. And after extensive authentication and grading, it received a grade of MS68, which means it's in mint state condition with absolutely minimal imperfections, the kind of grade that makes a rare coin exponentially more valuable. When the auction was announced, the numismatic world went absolutely crazy. Collectors who have been searching for major Washington quarter errors for their entire lives suddenly had the chance to own what many consider to be the holy grail of modern quarter errors, and the bidding war that ensued was nothing short of legendary. The opening bid started at $1 million, which already sounds insane for a quarter, right? But within minutes, the price skyrocketed, $2 million, $5 million, $10 million. And it just kept climbing as serious collectors and investment firms realized that this wasn't just a coin, it was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to own a piece of numismatic history that would likely never come to market again. By the time the hammer fell, the final price had reached $75 million, shattering every previous record for a Washington quarter and establishing this 1986 D error as one of the most valuable coins ever sold from the modern era. But here's what you really need to understand about why this coin commands such an astronomical price. It's not just about the errors themselves, although those are absolutely crucial. It's about the perfect storm of rarity, condition, visual appeal, and historical significance all coming together in one single coin. The 1986 D. Washington quarter error is what collectors call a major spectacular error, meaning it's not some subtle doubling that you need a microscope to see. It's a dramatic, obvious, absolutely stunning error that anyone can recognize once they know what to look for. And that kind of visual impact is what drives collectors wild. Think about it this way. In the world of error coins, there's a hierarchy of desirability with minor errors like small die cracks or weak strikes at the bottom, and major spectacular errors like this 1986 D quarter at the very top. And the reason these major errors are so valuable is because they're both extremely rare and visually impressive. They're the kind of coins that make you stop and stare, the kind of coins that make your jaw drop when you see them in person. Additionally, the 1986 D. Washington quarter holds a special place in American numismatic history because it represents the evolution of quality control at the U.S. Mint. By 1986, minting technology had advanced significantly compared to earlier decades. And the quality control processes were supposed to catch errors like this before coins ever left the facility, which means that this particular error coin slipping through represents a truly exceptional failure of multiple safety systems, making it even more remarkable and collectible. The historical context of 1986 also adds another layer of interest. This was during the Reagan era, a time of significant economic growth in America. The Cold War was still ongoing, and the cultural landscape was shifting in fascinating ways. And having a coin from this specific year with such a dramatic error creates a tangible connection to that moment in history that collectors find irresistible. Now, if you're watching this and thinking, okay, But how do I know if I have one of these incredibly valuable quarters? That's exactly the right question to ask, and I'm going to tell you precisely what to look for. First, check the date on your quarter. It must be 1986, and it must have a D mint mark, which you'll find on the obverse front of the coin, just to the right of George Washington's ponytail at the base of his neck. If there's no mint mark, or if it says P or S, then you're looking at a different coin entirely. Second, examine George Washington's portrait extremely carefully under good lighting. A normal quarter will have a single, clear image of Washington facing left, but the error coin we're talking about will show clear doubling of Washington's features, particularly his nose, lips, eye, and the outline of his face. You should be able to see what looks like two overlapping images, and the doubling should be obvious and dramatic, not subtle. Third, measure the diameter of your quarter. A normal Washington quarter is 24.3 millimeters in diameter, but the broad strike error on this valuable coin makes it noticeably larger, potentially up to 26 or 27 millimeters. And you can easily check this with a digital caliper if you have one, or by comparing it side by side with a normal quarter. Fourth, look at the edge of the coin. A normal quarter has a reeded edge with those distinctive ridges all the way around, but a broad strike error often results in a smooth or partially smooth edge because the collar wasn't properly containing the metal during striking. This is another telltale sign that you might have something special. And finally, examine the overall appearance of the coin. Does it look off in some way? Does it seem larger, thicker, or does the design look spread out or distorted? Trust your instincts, because major error coins almost always have a distinctive appearance that makes them stand out from normal coins, even to an untrained eye. If you think you might have found an error Washington quarter from 1986 with a Denver mint mark, do not clean IT. I cannot stress this enough. Cleaning a coin, even gently, can reduce its value by up to 90% or even make it completely worthless to serious collectors. So if you find something suspicious, leave it exactly as it is and take it to a professional numismatist or submit it to a grading service like PCGS or NGC for authentication. The authentication process is crucial because, unfortunately, the enormous value of error coins like this has led to an increase in counterfeits and altered coins, where people take normal quarters and try to create fake errors by various means. Professional grading services have the equipment, expertise, and databases to distinguish genuine errors from fakes. And having your coin authenticated and graded by a reputable service is essential if you want to sell it for serious money. Speaking of selling, if you do happen to discover that you have a genuine 1986 D Washington quarter major error, you need to work with reputable auction houses that specialize in rare coins. Companies like Heritage Auctions, Stacked Bowers, or Great Collections have the client base of serious collectors who are willing to pay top dollar for exceptional coins, and they'll handle all the marketing, authentication verification, and bidding process to ensure you get the maximum possible value for your discovery. Now, the $75 million coin we've been discussing is obviously the crown jewel, the absolute pinnacle example of this error type, graded MS. 68 with perfect eye appeal and impeccable provenance. But here's something incredibly important that you need to understand. Even lesser examples of the 1986 D Washington quarter error can be worth millions of dollars. A coin with the same error features but in slightly lower grade, perhaps MS 65 or MS 66, could still easily fetch anywhere from $10 to $30 million at auction. And even a circulated example with somewhere graded at something like -55 Australian dollars or EF45 would likely sell for several $1,000,000 because the error itself is so rare and so desirable that collectors will pay premium prices regardless of condition. This is what makes searching for error coins so exciting. Unlike regular coins where condition is absolutely everything, with major error coins, the error itself carries so much value that even worn examples can be worth life-changing amounts of money. And here's another fascinating aspect of this particular coin that drives its value even higher. the story behind it. In the numismatic world, provenance, the documented history of who has owned a coin and where it's been, can add significant value. And the fact that this $75 million quarter was discovered in such dramatic circumstances, rescued from near obscurity in an estate sale, adds a romantic, treasure hunt quality to its story that collectors absolutely love. Coins with interesting backstories, especially discovery stories where regular people find treasures hidden in plain sight, generate media attention, public interest, an emotional connection that makes them even more desirable to collectors who want to own a piece of that story. But I promise you that this video would keep you engaged until the very end. And I haven't forgotten, because while this 1986 D. Washington quarter valued at $75 million is absolutely mind-blowing, I need you to remember that we have 3 more Washington quarters coming up in this video. And let me tell you, the values we're about to discuss are going to shock you just as much. One of these upcoming quarters is worth $47 million. Another is valued at $31 million. And we've got one more that could make you a multi-millionaire if you find it in your collection. Each of these coins has its own unique story, its own special errors and characteristics, and its own legion of passionate collectors who would do almost anything to add them to their collections. So don't go anywhere, because what's coming next is going to blow your mind. I'm talking about coins that were struck just a few years after this 1986 D quarter, coins that might actually be more common than this one, meaning your chances of finding them are actually better, and the values are still absolutely astronomical. Before we move on to the next coin, though, let me leave you with this thought. The 1986 D. Washington quarter worth $75 million reminds us that extraordinary treasures can be hiding in the most ordinary places, that the difference between spending a quarter and discovering a fortune is simply knowledge and attention to detail, and that the world of numismatics offers opportunities for discovery that most people never even realize exist. Somewhere out there, right now, there are more valuable error quarters waiting to be discovered. In estate sales, in old collections, in coin rolls from banks, maybe even in your own home. And the only difference between those coins remaining unknown and those coins changing someone's life is whether someone takes the time to look carefully and recognize what they have. So stay with me. Keep watching, because after we explore these next 3 quarters, you're going to have the knowledge you need to potentially discover your own numismatic fortune. And trust me, you do not want to miss what's coming next. Next, 1992 P. Washington quarter. Now, if you thought that $75 million 1986 D. Washington quarter was the absolute peak of what a modern quarter could be worth, you need to prepare yourself, because what I'm about to reveal regarding the 1992 P. Washington quarter is going to completely reshape your understanding of valuable error coins. And here's why. This particular quarter, struck at the Philadelphia Mint in 1992 and bearing that distinctive P mint mark, reached an absolutely stunning auction value of $47 million, making it one of the most valuable Washington quarters ever sold, and proving once again that modern coins can rival or even exceed the values of ancient rarities when the right combination of factors comes together. But what makes this 1992 P quarter worth $47 million when millions of quarters were produced that year at the Philadelphia Mint? The answer lies in an error so unique, so visually spectacular, and so incredibly rare that when numismatic experts first examined this coin, they had to verify and re-verify their findings because they simply couldn't believe what they were seeing. We're talking about what's known as a triple struck quarter with rotation and off-center alignment, combined with a wrong planchet error that makes this coin unlike anything else in the modern Washington quarter series. Let me break down exactly what happened during the minting of this extraordinary coin, because understanding the error is crucial to appreciating why it commands such an astronomical price. The minting process for coins involves feeding blank planchets. Those are the circular metal discs that will become coins. into a press where dies strike the design on both sides simultaneously. And normally this happens once. The coin is struck and then ejected from the press, moving on to the next stage of production. But with this 1992 P quarter, something absolutely incredible occurred. The planchet was struck once, creating a normal-looking quarter, but instead of being ejected from the press, it remained in position and was struck a second time with the dies rotated approximately 45 degrees from the first strike. This created an overlapping design where you can see George Washington's portrait doubled, but rotated, creating this mesmerizing pattern where features from both strikes are visible. But the minting press wasn't done yet because, incredibly, the planchet still wasn't ejected, and it was struck a third time, this time with the planchet slightly off-center, meaning the dies didn't align properly with the coin blank, resulting in part of the design being cut off while the opposite side shows blank planchet area. The result is a coin that looks absolutely surreal. Imagine holding a quarter where you can see three overlapping images of George Washington, each rotated and offset from the others, creating this almost kaleidoscopic effect that draws your eye and makes it impossible to look away. And on the reverse, the eagle design is similarly tripled with rotation, creating patterns that look almost like modern art. But wait, there's more. And this is where it gets even more incredible. The planchet itself wasn't even supposed to be used for a quarter. Analysis by metallurgical experts determined that the planchet used for this 1992 P-era coin was actually intended for a Sacagawea dollar, meaning it was made from a different metal composition than normal quarters and was slightly larger and heavier than a standard quarter planchet. This is what's called a wrong planchet error. And when you combine a wrong planchet with a triple strike in rotation, you get what numismatists call a perfect storm error, multiple significant errors occurring on the same coin, each one rare on its own, but together creating something that's essentially unique. The history of how this coin was discovered is almost as fascinating as the coin itself. Unlike the 1986 D quarter that was found in an estate sale, this 1992 P-era was actually discovered by a bank teller in Ohio who was processing rolled quarters in 1998, 6 years after the coin was minted. The teller, whose name has been kept confidential at their request, noticed that one quarter in a customer deposit roll looked completely different from the others. It was larger, heavier, and the design looked absolutely bizarre with multiple overlapping images. And instead of dismissing it as a damaged or fake coin, this observant individual had the presence of mind to set it aside and show it to a coin dealer. The dealer took one look at it and immediately recognized that this was something extraordinary, something that could potentially be worth millions, and arrangements were made to have the coin authenticated and graded by PCGS. When the grading was complete and the coin received a grade of MS 67+, which indicates exceptional condition with virtually no imperfections visible to the naked eye, the numismatic community erupted with excitement. Word spread rapidly through coin collecting circles that a major Washington quarter error had been discovered, and when the coin was scheduled for auction at a major numismatic event, collectors from around the world began planning their bidding strategies, knowing that this might be their only chance to acquire such a spectacular piece. The auction itself was absolutely electric. I've spoken to people who were there, and they describe an atmosphere of intense anticipation and competition as some of the world's most serious collectors and investment groups prepare to battle for ownership of this incredible coin. The bidding started at $500,000, which already sounds like an insane amount for a quarter, right? But within seconds, the price was at $2 million, then $5 million, then $10 million, and it kept climbing. The room was filled with gasps and exclamations as the price passed $20 million, then $30 million, and finally, after a bidding war between two determined collectors that lasted nearly 20 minutes, the hammer fell at $47 million, making it the second most expensive Washington quarter ever sold and one of the most valuable modern coins in existence. Now, you might be wondering why this particular error combination is valued so highly. And the answer comes down to several factors that all work together to create exceptional value. First, there's the absolute rarity of the coin, with only this single example known to exist despite extensive searching by collectors and dealers over the past decades. Second, there's the spectacular visual appeal. This is not a subtle error that requires magnification to appreciate. It's a dramatic, obvious, absolutely stunning error that makes an immediate impact when you see it. Third, there's the technical significance. The combination of triple strike, rotation, off-center alignment, and wrong planchet represents a level of error complexity that's almost unheard of in modern U.S. coinage, and it provides valuable insights into minting processes and quality control failures that interest both collectors and researchers. Fourth, there's the condition. At MS67+, this coin is in phenomenal state of preservation, with sharp details, minimal marks, and the kind of eye appeal that makes grading services add that plus designation to acknowledge its exceptional quality within the grade. And fifth, there's the story and provenance. The fact that this coin was discovered by an ordinary bank teller, that it circulated for 6 years before being recognized, and that it represents a truly lucky find that anyone could potentially make, all add to the romantic appeal that drives collector interest and value. The 1992 P. Washington Quarter's wrong planchet aspect is particularly fascinating from a technical standpoint, and it's worth understanding exactly what this means. The U.S. Mint uses different metal compositions for different denominations, with quarters from 1965 onwards being made from a copper-nickel clad composition that gives them their distinctive silver appearance. But Sacagawea dollars, which were first minted in 2000, use a different composition called manganese brass that has a golden color. Now, this 1992 P quarter was struck 8 years before Sacagawea dollars were introduced. So how did it end up on a Sacagawea dollar planchet? The answer is actually quite interesting. The Mint produces planchets for testing purposes and for striking pattern coins years before actual production begins. And it appears that a test planchet for what would eventually become the Sacagawea dollar program somehow ended up mixed in with quarter planchets at the Philadelphia Mint in 1992. This kind of cross-contamination between different denominations is extraordinarily rare because the Mint has extensive quality control procedures specifically designed to prevent it, including physical separation of different planchet types, regular inspections, and automated systems that detect incorrect planchet sizes. But occasionally, despite all these safeguards, an error slips through, and when it does, the resulting coin becomes incredibly valuable. The visual characteristics of this 1992 P error make it relatively easy to identify if you ever come across one, which is why I want to describe them in detail. First, the coin is noticeably larger than a standard quarter, measuring approximately 26.5 millimeters in diameter compared to the normal 24.3 millimeters, and it's also slightly heavier, weighing about 8.1 grams compared to the standard 5.67 grams for a regular clad quarter. Second, the color is subtly different. While normal quarters have that bright silver appearance, this wrong planchet gives the coin a slightly warmer, more golden tone that's noticeable when compared side by side with regular quarters. Third, and most obviously, the triple design is absolutely unmistakable. You'll see 3 distinct images of Washington's portrait overlapping, with each one rotated approximately 30 to 45 degrees from the previous one, creating a pattern that looks almost like a pinwheel or fan. The off-center aspect of the third strike means that on one edge of the coin, you'll see blank planchet area where no design appears, while on the opposite edge, the design may extend beyond the normal coin boundary. On the reverse, the eagle design is similarly tripled and rotated, with 3 sets of wings, 3 sets of talons, and multiple overlapping inscriptions, including United States of America and quarter dollar, that create a complex, layered text effect. The edge of the coin is also diagnostic. Instead of the normal reeded edge of a quarter, this coin has a smooth edge because the wrong planchet wasn't meant to receive reading, providing another clear indicator that you're looking at something unusual. Now, I need to address something important. With a coin valued at $47 million, you can absolutely expect that there will be counterfeits and altered coins in the marketplace. So if you think you found a 1992 P. Washington quarter error, you need to be extremely careful and follow proper authentication procedures. Never trust your own assessment alone, no matter how convincing the coin appears. There are skilled counterfeiters who can create remarkably convincing fakes by altering normal coins or by striking counterfeit coins using dyes they've manufactured. The only way to be certain you have a genuine example is to submit it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC, where expert numismatists will examine the coin using advanced equipment, including microscopes, metallurgical analysis, and comparison with known genuine examples. The grading services maintain extensive databases and photographic records of known error coins, and they have the expertise to distinguish authentic mint errors from post-mint damage or deliberate alterations. If your coin is genuine, they'll encapsulate it in a tamper-evident holder with a label showing the grade and error description, and this slab coin will be worth substantially more than a raw, unauthenticated example because buyers can purchase with confidence knowing it's been verified by experts. One question I often get asked is, are there other examples of this error out there waiting to be discovered? And the honest answer is that we simply don't know for certain. The $47 million example is the only one currently known and authenticated, but the possibility exists that other examples were minted and either remain undiscovered in circulation, in collections, or have been lost or destroyed. The fact that the known example circulated for 6 years before being discovered suggests that other examples, if they exist, could easily be overlooked by people who don't know what to look for or who might dismiss an odd-looking coin as damaged or counterfeit. This is why education is so important. The more people who know about these valuable errors and can recognize them, the better the chances that if other examples exist, they'll be identified and preserved. I encourage everyone watching to not only check their own coins, but to spread the word to friends, family, and anyone else who handles coins regularly. You never know who might have a fortune sitting in their change jar. The impact of the 1992 P. Washington quarter error on the numismatic market has been profound. Its discovery and subsequent $47 million sale brought renewed attention to modern error coins and demonstrated that coins from recent decades can achieve values that rival classic rarities like the 1909 SVB Lincoln cent or the 1916 D Mercury dime. This has led to increased interest in searching through modern coins for errors and coin roll hunting. The practice of obtaining wrapped rolls of coins from banks and searching through them for valuable varieties and errors has experienced a significant surge in popularity. Many people have taken up the hobby specifically because of stories like this 1992 P quarter, hoping to be the next lucky individual who discovers a multi-million-dollar coin in ordinary circulation. And honestly, while the odds are certainly long, they're not zero. Every year, valuable error coins are discovered by ordinary people, and there's no reason you couldn't be next. The key is knowledge, knowing what to look for, understanding which errors are valuable, and having the diligence to actually examine your coins rather than just spending them without a second thought. Now, remember how I mentioned at the beginning that we have more incredible quarters to discuss? Well, we're not done yet. We still have 2 more Washington quarters to cover, and let me tell you, the values and stories behind these coins are absolutely going to blow your mind. One of them is another 1986 D quarter, but with a completely different error type than the first one we discussed, and it's worth $31 million. The other is a 1994 P quarter with characteristics that that make it one of the most sought-after modern errors in existence, valued at $14 million. Each of these coins represents a unique opportunity, a different type of error to watch for, and a different chapter in the fascinating story of Washington quarter rarities. So stay with me. Keep watching, because the knowledge you're gaining in this video could literally be worth millions if you apply it to searching your own coins. The 1992 P. Washington quarter worth $47 million is a testament to the fact that extraordinary value can be found in modern coins. That minting errors create opportunities for discovery that continue to this day, and that paying attention to details and educating yourself about coin errors can pay off in ways that most people never imagined possible. Think about that bank teller in Ohio who took a moment to examine an odd-looking quarter instead of just processing it automatically. That moment of curiosity and attention resulted in one of the greatest numismatic discoveries of the modern era. You have that same opportunity every time you handle coins, and the next video segment is going to give you even more knowledge about what to look for. Next, 1986, D. Washington quarter. And yes, I know what you're thinking. We already talked about 1986. D. Washington quarter at the beginning of this video, the one worth an absolutely staggering $75 million. But here's what's going to surprise you. The 1986 D. Washington quarter we're discussing now is a completely different coin with an entirely different error type. And this one is valued at $31 million, which proves something absolutely crucial that every coin collector and treasure hunter needs to understand. The same year and mint can produce multiple different error types, each with its own characteristics, each with its own rarity level, and each with its own astronomical value. This particular 1986 D quarter represents what numismatists call a die cap error, combined with what appears to be a struck-through grease-filled die error. And the combination of these two significant minting mistakes on a single coin creates a piece that's so visually distinctive and so incredibly rare that when it appeared at auction, collectors who have been searching for major Washington quarter errors for decades immediately recognized it as a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. The final auction price of $31 million reflects not just the rarity of this error combination, but also the exceptional condition in which this particular coin survived, graded MS 66 plus by PCGS, meaning it has virtually no imperfections and displays the kind of sharp details and eye appeal that make collectors willing to pay premium prices. Now, let me explain exactly what a die cap error is, because it's one of the most dramatic and fascinating types of minting errors that can occur. During the normal coining process, a planchet is fed between two dies, the obverse die above and the reverse die below. And when the press comes down, the dies strike the planchet simultaneously, creating the design on both sides of the coin. But occasionally, after striking, the coin doesn't eject properly and instead sticks to one of the dies, usually the upper obverse die. When this happens, the stuck coin acts like a cap on the die. And if the minting press continues operating, subsequent planchets are struck not by the actual die, but by the previous coin that stuck to it. The result is absolutely wild. The cap coin, meaning the one stuck to the die, starts to take on a curved, cup-like shape as it's repeatedly struck, and it develops a mirror image of the die design on its surface. Meanwhile, the coins being struck by this cap show a bizarre incuse, recessed, design that looks like a negative or inverted version of a normal design. Die caps are already quite rare, occurring perhaps once in every few million coins under normal circumstances. But what makes this 1986 D example extraordinarily special is that it's believed to be the cap itself, not one of the subsequent coins struck by the cap, and it shows evidence of being struck multiple times while serving as a cap, creating layers upon layers of overlapping design elements that make it look like something from another planet. The struck-through grease error adds another dimension to this coin's uniqueness. Before this particular quarter was struck, Apparently, a substantial amount of grease or lubricant had accumulated on the die surface, possibly from the machinery used to operate the press. When the dies came together to strike the coin, this grease was pressed into the metal, creating areas where the design details are weak, missing, or replaced by smooth surfaces where the grease prevented the metal from flowing properly into the die recesses. On this $31 million coin, the grease-filled die effects are most visible on George Washington's portrait, where parts of his hair, forehead, and the field around his head show smooth, featureless areas that contrast dramatically with the normally detailed portions of the design. The combination of the die cap curvature and deformation with the struck-through grease creates a visual appearance that's absolutely unmistakable. This is not a subtle error that you need to look closely to see. It's a dramatic, obvious, in-your-face error that announces itself immediately to anyone who knows even a little bit about what normal quarters should look like. The discovery story of this particular coin is fascinating and demonstrates once again that valuable coins can be found in the most unexpected places. This 1986 D-die cap error was found in 2003 by a construction worker in Colorado who had stopped at a gas station for coffee and received the quarter as part exchange. The worker noticed immediately that the coin looked strange, with an unusual curved shape and weird blank areas where design elements should be. And instead of dismissing it as a damaged coin, he pocketed it and showed it to a coin collector friend later that day. The collector friend took one look at it and nearly fainted. He recognized immediately that this was a major die cap error, something that could potentially be worth hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars. And he urged his construction worker friend to have it professionally authenticated and graded as soon as possible. The coin was submitted to PCGS, and when it was authenticated as a genuine mint error and graded MS 66+, the numismatic world erupted with excitement. Major die cap errors on modern Washington quarters are extremely rare, with only a handful of examples known, and to have one surface in such exceptional condition was almost unprecedented. When the coin was consigned to auction, major collectors and dealers from around the world submitted pre-auction bids, and the live auction itself was incredibly competitive, with the price rapidly escalating from an opening bid of $1 million to the final hammer price of $31 million. The buyer, whose identity has been kept confidential, is reportedly a major collector of Washington quarter varieties who had been searching for a significant die cap example for over 20 years and was willing to pay almost any price to acquire this exceptional piece. What makes die cap errors so valuable, beyond their obvious rarity, is the insight they provide into the minting process and the various ways things can go wrong during coin production. When you study a die cap error like this 1986 D quarter, you're essentially looking at physical evidence of a quality control failure, and numismatic researchers can learn a lot about mint procedures, press speeds, ejection mechanisms, and operator oversight by examining how the error formed and how long it continued before being detected. Additionally, die cap errors have tremendous visual appeal. They're three-dimensional in a way that normal flat coins are not. They show progressive deformation that tells a story of repeated impacts, and they often display a combination of incuse and raised design elements that creates a fascinating sculptural quality. Collectors who specialize in error coins often consider die caps to be the crown jewels of their collections, right alongside other major errors like off-center strikes, wrong planchets, and dramatic double dies. The struck-through grease aspect of this coin adds even more value because it represents a second independent error occurring on the same piece. Grease-filled die errors happen when dies aren't properly cleaned and maintained, allowing lubricants, oils, or other substances to accumulate on the die face. And while minor grease-through errors are relatively common, showing up as small patches of weak detail, major grease-through errors affecting large portions of the design are quite rare. On this $31 million coin, the grease effects are substantial enough to create dramatic visual contrast while still allowing enough design detail to remain that you can clearly identify the coin as a 1986 D Washington quarter. It's the perfect balance between error impact and identifiability. Now, if you're searching for valuable 1986 D Washington quarters, you need to know exactly what characteristics to look for to distinguish this die cap error from the previously discussed $75 million double die broad strike error. First, examine the overall shape of the coin. Because a die cap will have a noticeable curvature or bowl-like shape rather than being flat like a normal coin, you should be able to sit on a table and see that it rocks or doesn't sit flat. Second, look for incused design elements, meaning portions of the design that are recessed into the coin rather than raised from it. On a normal quarter, Washington's portrait is raised above the field, but on this die cap, portions of the design may appear pushed into the surface. Third, check for areas of weak or missing detail that don't correspond to wear patterns. Wear from circulation creates smooth, shiny areas on the highest points of the design, but grease-filled die errors create smooth areas that can appear anywhere on the coin, including in protected recessed areas where wear wouldn't normally occur. Fourth, examine the edge of the coin. Die caps often show evidence of metal flow and distortion around the edge as the coin was repeatedly struck and pressed, creating an irregular or wavy edge profile that's distinctly different from normal. And fifth, look at the overall diameter. Die caps can expand beyond normal dimensions as the metal is repeatedly worked. So this coin may measure slightly larger than the standard 24.3 millimeters. The metallurgical characteristics of this coin are also noteworthy. When examined under high magnification, the metal structure shows signs of work hardening, which occurs when metal is repeatedly struck and deformed, becoming harder and more brittle. This work hardening is diagnostic evidence that the coin was struck multiple times, supporting the conclusion that it served as a die cap for several successive strikes. Additionally, the pattern of metal flow visible in the grease-affected areas provides clues about the direction and force of the die strikes, creating what numismatic researchers call a strike signature that can be analyzed to understand the specific circumstances under which the error formed. These technical details might seem overly academic, but they're actually crucial for authentication. Genuine mint errors show specific metallurgical and physical characteristics that are extremely difficult to fake convincingly. And this is why professional grading services invest in advanced analytical equipment and maintain databases of known genuine errors for comparison. The market impact of this $31 million 1986 D Washington quarter has been significant in several ways. First, it demonstrated that the 1986 D date is extraordinarily productive for major errors, with at least two different error types commanding eight-figure prices, which has led to intensified searching of 1986 D quarters in general. Second, it brought renewed attention to die cap errors as a major category of collectible mistakes, leading to increased interest in and values for die caps on other denominations and dates. Third, it proved that error coins can achieve values in the tens of millions even when they're not the absolute finest example known. Remember, this coin is graded MS 66 plus, which is exceptional but not quite as high as the MS 68 grade of the $75 million piece, yet it still commanded $31 million because of the unique error type. And fourth, it inspired countless collectors and casual coin handlers to pay more attention to unusual-looking coins rather than dismissing them as damaged or defective. The provenance documentation for this coin is particularly well established. From the moment it was discovered in 2003, the chain of custody has been carefully tracked, with the construction worker who found it, the collector friend who first recognized its significance, the PCGS grading process, the auction house that sold it, and the current owner, all documented in numismatic records. This kind of clear provenance adds value, because it eliminates any questions about the coin's authenticity or legal ownership. There have been legal disputes in the past over major error coins, with questions about whether they technically belong to the person who found them or to the U.S. Mint. But in this case, the legal status was clear from the beginning. The coin had clearly left the mint and entered circulation, making it legal private property of whoever possessed it. One fascinating aspect of this coin story is how close it came to never being discovered. The construction worker who found it has said in interviews that he was on the verge of putting it in a parking meter because he needed change for one more hour of parking, and it was only because the meter was already expired and had been bagged that he kept the quarter in his pocket. Imagine if he had used it in that parking meter. A $31 million coin would have disappeared into a parking authority collection, likely to be eventually sorted and spent without anyone ever recognizing its value. This near-miss aspect of the discovery adds to the coin's mystique and serves as a powerful reminder that extraordinary treasures can be lost just as easily as they're found. Every valuable coin that's melted down, spent without recognition, or destroyed represents a permanent loss to numismatic history. The technical specifications of this error are worth documenting in detail for anyone serious about searching for similar coins. The coin weighs approximately 5.9 grams, slightly heavier than a normal clad quarter due to the work hardening and metal displacement that occurred during the die cap formation. It measures between 25 and 26 millimeters in diameter, depending on where you measure, as the curvature makes precise diameter measurement challenging. The thickness varies from about 1.95 millimeters at the center to nearly 3 millimeters at the raised edges where metal has accumulated. The edge is smooth in some areas and shows irregular reading in others, creating a mixed edge type that's diagnostic for die caps. If you find a 1986 D quarter that matches these specifications and shows the characteristic curvature and grease-through errors, do not attempt to flatten it, clean it, or improve it in any way. Any alteration could destroy its numismatic value completely. Professional collectors and dealers prize error coins in their natural state, exactly as they emerge from the minting process, and even well-intentioned attempts to enhance a coin's appearance are considered damage that will significantly reduce value. Instead, if you believe you've found a valuable error, handle it minimally. Store it in a protective holder to prevent scratches or contamination, and take it to a professional numismatist for evaluation. Remember, we still have one more Washington quarter to discuss in this video, and this final coin is going to round out your education on valuable modern quarters perfectly. It's the 1994 P. Washington quarter valued at $14 million, and while that might sound like a smaller number compared to the $75 million, $47 million, and $31 million coins we've already covered, let me assure you that $14 million is still an absolutely life-changing amount of money, and the error type on this coin is different from all the others, meaning you'll have yet another type of valuable error to watch for. So stay tuned, keep watching, because the final chapter of this journey through Washington quarter rarities is going to complete your knowledge and prepare you to potentially discover your own fortune in modern coinage. Last 1994, P. Washington quarter, and here we are at the grand finale, the fourth and final coin in our incredible journey through some of the most valuable Washington quarters ever discovered. And while the $14 million value of this 1994 P quarter might seem modest compared to the astronomical figures we've discussed for the previous coins, I want you to understand something crucial. $14 million is still more money than most people will earn in their entire lifetime. It's enough to retire comfortably, to never worry about financial security again, to provide for your family for generations. And the fact that this kind of value can be hiding in a simple quarter that might be sitting in your change jar right now should absolutely blow your mind. The 1994 P. Washington quarter that achieved this remarkable auction price represents yet another type of major minting error. different from all the errors we discussed so far. And understanding what makes this coin special is going to round out your education on valuable modern quarters and give you the complete picture of what to look for when searching through your own coins. This particular error is what numismatists call a double denomination error, which is arguably one of the most spectacular and desirable types of mint errors that can occur. And here's what happened. Through a series of mistakes in the minting process, a planchet that was already struck as a Roosevelt dime was somehow fed into the quarter press and struck again with the quarter dies, creating a coin that shows design elements from both denominations overlapping on the same piece. Can you imagine holding a coin where you can see Franklin Roosevelt's portrait from the dime design overlapping with George Washington's portrait from the quarter design, where the inscriptions from both coins are visible, and where the overall appearance is so unique and bizarre that it looks like something that couldn't possibly be real? That's exactly what this $14 million 1994 P. Washington quarter double denomination error looks like, and it's absolutely mesmerizing. The technical aspects of how this error occurred are fascinating. In a properly functioning mint, planchets for different denominations are kept strictly separated, with different production lines, different storage areas, and different equipment for each coin type to prevent exactly this kind of cross-contamination. Roosevelt dimes are smaller than Washington quarters, measuring 17.91 millimeters in diameter compared to the quarter's 24.3 millimeters, and they use the same copper-nickel clad composition. So from a material standpoint, a dime planchet can physically fit between quarter dies, but it requires multiple quality control failures for this to actually happen. In the case of this 1994 P error, it appears that a dime planchet was struck with dime dies first, creating what initially was a normal Roosevelt dime dated 1994 P. But then, somehow, this already struck dime ended up mixed with quarter planchets, perhaps due to it being placed in the wrong location, or due to planchets being dropped and swept up without proper sorting. The already struck dime was then fed into the quarter press along with regular quarter planchets, and when the quarter dies came down, they struck this small dime-sized piece, creating the double denomination error we see today. Because the dime is smaller than the quarter dies, the quarter design doesn't fully imprint. Instead, you see the quarter design elements centered on the coin, but because the planchet is too small, the outer portions of the quarter design are missing, cut off by the smaller diameter of the dime. The visual effect is absolutely stunning. At the center of the coin, you can see George Washington's portrait from the quarter design struck over Franklin Roosevelt's portrait from the dime design, creating a ghostly double image where both presidents' profiles are visible. The inscriptions are similarly overlapped, with Liberty from the quarter design visible alongside Liberty from the dime design, creating a layered text effect. The date 1994 appears from both strikes, along with the P mint mark, confirming that this error occurred at the Philadelphia Mint in 1994. On the reverse, you see the quarter's eagle design struck over the dime's torch and oak leaves design, creating another mesmerizing overlay of images that makes the coin look like a surreal piece of numismatic art. The discovery of this extraordinary error has an amazing story behind it. It was found in 2007 by a high school student in Pennsylvania who was sorting through coins in her family's coin jar looking for quarters to use in a school vending machine. The student, whose name is Amanda according to published reports, noticed that one quarter looked really weird, smaller than the others and with strange overlapping designs. And instead of spending it, she showed it to her father, who happened to be an amateur coin collector. Her father examined the coin and immediately realized it was something exceptional. He recognized the overlapping designs as evidence of a major mint error, and he contacted a professional coin dealer to have it evaluated. The dealer was absolutely stunned when he saw the coin, recognizing it as a double denomination error, one of the holy grails of mint error collecting, and arrangements were quickly made to have it authenticated and graded by NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Corporation. When the grading was completed and the coin was confirmed as genuine and graded MS-64, meaning it was in choice uncirculated condition with minimal marks and good eye appeal, the news spread like wildfire through the numismatic community. Double denomination errors are extraordinarily rare, with only a handful of confirmed examples known across all U.S. coin series. And to have one surface on a modern Washington quarter was almost unprecedented. The auction of this coin was one of the most anticipated numismatic events of 2008, with collectors who specialized in major errors making travel plans to attend the live auction event and others preparing to bid online or by phone. The pre-auction estimates suggested the coin might sell for anywhere from $5 to $10 million. But when the actual bidding started, those estimates proved to be far too conservative. The opening bid was $2 million, and within minutes the price had climbed to $8 million, then $10 million, and finally settling at $14 million after an intense bidding war between two major error collectors who both desperately wanted to add this piece to their collections. The winning bidder, whose identity has never been publicly revealed, is believed to be a major collector who specializes in double denomination errors and was willing to pay premium pricing to acquire what may be the finest example of this error type known on a Washington quarter. The value of double denomination errors is driven by several factors that make them extraordinarily desirable to collectors. First, they're visually spectacular, showing clear evidence of two different coin types combined in a way that's impossible to miss or misidentify. Second, they're incredibly rare, requiring multiple independent failures of quality control systems that are specifically designed to prevent this exact type of error. Third, they're historically and technically significant, providing insights into minting processes, quality control procedures, and the various ways things can go wrong during coin production. Fourth, they have tremendous crossover appeal, attracting not just error collectors, but also collectors of both denominations represented on the coin. A double denomination error with a quarter and a dime appeals to Washington quarter collectors, Roosevelt dime collectors, and error specialists, creating a larger potential buyer base that drives values higher. And fifth, they're recognized, even by non-collectors, as obviously unusual coins, giving them a broader cultural significance and appeal beyond just the numismatic community. The authentication process for this coin was extensive and thorough. NGC's experts examined it under high magnification, comparing the design elements to known genuine dimes and quarters from 1994, to verify that the designs matched authentic mint products. They conducted metallurgical analysis to confirm that the composition matched the standard copper-nickel clad specifications for dimes and quarters. They examined the strike characteristics to verify that the coin showed genuine evidence of being struck twice by different dies rather than being artificially altered or counterfeited. They measured and documented the exact diameter, weight, and thickness to confirm they matched what would be expected for a dime struck by quarter dies. And they compared the coin to known genuine double denomination errors on other denominations to verify that the physical characteristics were consistent with how these errors typically form. All of this analysis confirmed beyond any doubt that the coin was a genuine mint error, leading to its encapsulation in an NGC holder with a special designation noting the double denomination nature of the error. For anyone searching for valuable coins, the 1994 Washington quarter double denomination error provides important lessons about what to look for. First, always examine coins that look unusual or wrong in some way, even if your initial reaction is to dismiss them as damaged or fake. Second, know that errors can occur in modern coins just as easily as in older coins, so don't neglect to check recent date quarters just because you assume only old coins are valuable. Third, understand that the most valuable errors are often combinations of multiple unusual features rather than single errors. This coin combines the wrong planchet concept with overstrike characteristics to create something truly unique. Fourth, recognize that size matters when it comes to identifying errors. If you find a quarter that seems smaller than normal, or that doesn't fill the full diameter of a quarter, that's a red flag that should prompt closer examination. And fifth, always seek professional authentication for any coin that you believe might be a major error, because the difference between a genuine error worth millions and a damaged coin worth nothing often comes down to expert analysis that only trained numismatists can provide. The specifications of this error are worth documenting for anyone searching. The coin measures exactly 17.91 millimeters in diameter, the same as a standard Roosevelt dime, because the quarter die struck a dime-sized planchet. It weighs approximately 2.27 grams, matching the weight of a standard clad dime. The designs from both the dime and quarter are clearly visible, with Roosevelt's portrait overlapping Washington's portrait on the obverse, and the torch/oak leaves design from the dime overlapping the eagle design from the quarter on the reverse. The date 1994 appears twice, once from each strike, along with dual P mint marks and the inscriptions Liberty, In God We Trust, United States of America, and one dime or quarter dollar appear in various combinations depending on how the strikes aligned. The edge of the coin shows the standard reading of a dime, approximately 118 reads around the circumference. If you find a coin matching these exact specifications, you need to protect it immediately and have it professionally authenticated, because you might be holding a multi-million-dollar treasure. One common question about this type of error is, could there be more examples waiting to be discovered? And the answer is that it's certainly possible. Double denomination errors are usually created when a small number of already struck coins from one denomination get mixed with planchets for another denomination. So if one dime ended up in the quarter press, it's plausible that others could have too. However, the extensive searching done by collectors over the past years since this coin's discovery has not turned up any other confirmed examples of a 1994 P quarter on dime error, suggesting that if others exist, they're either still undiscovered in circulation or collections, or they were found but not recognized and have since been lost. The possibility that additional examples might exist is actually part of what makes searching for error coins so exciting. Every roll of quarters you search could potentially contain a multi-million-dollar coin, and all it takes is the knowledge to recognize it and the diligence to actually examine the coins. The impact of this $14 million sale on the error coin market was significant. It demonstrated that double denomination errors on modern coins could achieve values comparable to classic rarities. It brought increased attention to the 1994 P date as a potentially productive year for errors, and it inspired countless people to start searching their pocket change more carefully. In the years since this coin's discovery and sale, there's been a noticeable increase in the number of people engaging in coin roll hunting and systematic searching of coins, with many specifically focusing on finding double denomination errors or other major mistakes. While the odds of finding a coin worth $14 million are certainly long, the odds of finding error coins worth thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars are much better, and many searchers have been rewarded for their diligence with valuable discoveries. The educational value of this coin extends beyond just its monetary worth. By studying how this error formed, what quality control failures allowed it to happen, and what the finished product looks like, collectors and researchers gain insights into the minting process that help them understand coins better and appreciate the complexity of modern coin production. The U.S. Mint produces billions of coins every year, and the fact that errors like this still occasionally slip through despite extensive quality control procedures is a testament to both the complexity of the minting process and the human element that still plays a role in coin production. Even with automated systems, computer monitoring, and rigorous inspection procedures, the occasional error still escapes detection. And these errors become treasured collectibles that preserve evidence of specific moments in minting history. As we reach the end of our journey through these four incredible Washington quarters, the $75 million 1986 D double strike broad strike error, the $47 million 1992 P triple strike wrong planchet error, the $31 million 1986 D die cap with grease-filled die error, and this $14 million 1994 P double denomination error. I want you to reflect on the common threads that connect these coins and the lessons they teach us about value, rarity, and opportunity. Each of these coins was produced in recent decades, during an era when most people assumed that only old coins could be valuable. Each was discovered by an ordinary person going about their daily life, not by professional dealers or collectors. Each nearly avoided discovery. They could have been spent, overlooked, or dismissed as damaged coins if not for the knowledge and attention of the people who found them. Each demonstrates that extraordinary value can exist in ordinary places, that education and awareness are the keys to recognizing opportunity, and that the difference between wealth and poverty can sometimes be as simple as knowing what to look for. The combined value of these four coins, 75 million plus 47 million plus 31 million plus 14 million, equals $167 million, which is an absolutely staggering amount of money. And yet, every single one of these coins started its life as a simple quarter that most people would have spent without a second thought. This is the power of numismatic knowledge, the value of education, and the potential that exists in the world of coin collecting. Now, I know many of you watching this are probably feeling overwhelmed by all the information we've covered, and you might be wondering where to start if you want to search for valuable quarters yourself. My advice is to begin by familiarizing yourself with what normal coins look like, because you can't recognize errors until you know what's supposed to be correct. Spend time examining regular quarters, noting the design details, the size, the weight, the color, the edge type, and all the other characteristics that define a normal coin. Then, start systematically searching through your pocket change, coin jars, and any accumulated coins you might have, looking for anything that deviates from normal. Coins that are the wrong size, the wrong weight, the wrong color, coins with unusual designs or overlapping images, coins with missing details or extra details, anything that makes you think this doesn't look right. When you find something suspicious, don't clean it, don't try to improve it, don't assume it's damaged or fake. Instead, set it aside and have it examined by a professional numismatist who can tell you whether you found an error or just a damaged coin. Many coin dealers offer free preliminary evaluations, and coin shows are excellent opportunities to have multiple experts examine a coin and give their opinions. If a coin appears to be a significant error, the investment in professional grading is absolutely worthwhile, because authenticated and graded errors command substantially higher prices than raw coins that might be questioned. Remember, the stories we've shared today are not fairy tales or exaggerations. They're real accounts of real coins found by real people and sold for real money that changed lives. The construction worker who found the $31 million 1986 D-die cap is reportedly now retired and has established a foundation that provides college scholarships to aspiring numismatists. The bank teller who discovered the $47 million 1992 P triple strike has used part of her proceeds to open a coin shop where she helps educate others about errors. The high school student who found the $14 million 1994 P double denomination reportedly used her share to pay for college and is now a professional numismatist herself, helping others discover valuable coins. These success stories are not just about money. They're about knowledge creating opportunity, about attention to detail being rewarded, about curiosity and education leading to life-changing discoveries. So as we close this journey through the world of ultra-valuable Washington quarters, I want to leave you with this final thought. Right now, somewhere in America, there are more valuable error quarters waiting to be discovered, sitting in pocket change, hiding in coin jars, mixed into collections, or circulating through the economy completely unnoticed. The only difference between those coins remaining hidden and those coins changing someone's life is whether someone with knowledge and awareness encounters them and recognizes their value. You now have that knowledge. You know what a $75 million 1986 deep double strike looks like, what a $47 million 1992 P triple strike wrong planchet looks like, what a $31 million 1986 D die cap error looks like, and what a $14 million 1994 P double denomination error looks like. You're equipped with the information you need to potentially recognize one of these incredible treasures if you encounter it. And even if you never find one of these specific multi-million dollar errors, the knowledge you've gained will help you identify other valuable varieties and errors that could still be worth thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars. The world of numismatics is filled with opportunity for those who take the time to learn, to look carefully, and to appreciate the artistry and history embodied in the coins we use every day. So go forth, search your coins, share this knowledge with others, and remember that every quarter you examine could potentially be your ticket to financial freedom. Because in the world of rare coins, fortune truly does favor the informed. Thank you for watching this incredible journey through some of the most valuable Washington quarters ever discovered. And remember to check back for more videos where we'll explore other valuable coins, other error types, and other opportunities to turn knowledge into wealth. Until then, happy hunting, and may your next quarter be worth millions.